Well, before we go into answering that question, I'd like to highlight the value of the guidelines, and many of them have been developed for plant translocation, so there's a few examples up there, and anyone who's at the conference. Sorry, is there a problem?
Can you come closer to the mic, please?
Yep. Is that better? Yep. So why do we talk about guidelines? And some of the people who are at the conference earlier this week would have seen a lot of these guidelines put up on the screen and talked about, and they are particularly valuable. And they're often written by practitioners, so people who actually have done all this work, so they've sort of come across all the pitfalls and realise what actually works or what doesn't work, so they're really particularly valuable. And they certainly draw your attention to the considerations that you need to think about when you want to design a resilient, persistent plant population. So I sort of really encourage you to seek out the guidelines for the areas in which you're working as well. And we do actually have some posters around about some of the guidelines, if you can seek them out at the breaks as well and have a look, and hopefully follow up on those as well. But now, after saying how useful the guidelines are, the reason why we've called this workshop Beyond the Guideline is because the science and practice of plant translocations is still really developing, and we still have a lot to learn as well. So some of it's really hard to put into guidelines, as the considerations are really specific to a region or an ecosystem. Some plants are hard to translocate and some are really easy. And sometimes things can just go wrong, as an example here. So these are sites that are burnt, our infrastructure's gone. You can see my topiary of a grevillea in the bottom picture there, where things happen that you're just not really expecting. Translocations, it's actually not a linear process, despite the way it's presented in guidelines. It's iterative and needs to be adaptive. And we're often working with such threatened species that we just don't have much information. So we're going ahead with limited information and finding out as we go along and learning. But this is not a reason for a do-nothing approach, and because that's possibly more risky. We risk losing species. So today we have some presenters who've worked in the field, who are here to share some of their experiences with you. And by sharing our knowledge, we hope you can avoid some of the pitfalls we may have fallen into, and you can build upon the successes as well, so that we can all work together to continue to improve outcomes and ultimately prevent more plant extinctions. So with that, we're going to have our first